is the issue. But again, I must say that we support restructuring based on the challenges we have experienced in the system, particularly in the last 19 years or 20 years since the coming on board of this democratic dispensation. Now, what am I talking about? Professor Jega talked about good governance. Let me put it this way. One of the reasons why we need restructuring is because of bad governance. Look at the 36 states of the Federation. The structure we have is such that power is given to one person to decide the future and the fate of maybe, let's say in a state like Borno, where I'm from, 6 million people. Now, the governor in power, and that's why I support the scrapping of states. The governor in power and the party in power decide everything for everybody. The houses of assemblies, with due respect, they're just mere appendages. Okay, no, hold on a second. Just give me 2 more minutes. The quality, first of all, let me say that the understanding upon which I came to this conference was that in addition to the main speakers, some of us who are leaders of organizations will be given minimum of 10 minutes. So I have my talking points. I'll summarize it in 3 minutes.
Let me explain why that is no longer possible. It's just we started late and we are on TV and
we're not informed, Kadria. We're not informed.
So 2 minutes, like you said.
Okay, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So the Houses of Assembly we have, the quality of representation, and the way the monies are being sent to the respective states and so on, is such that in almost all the states, you know, the principle of check and balance, which is supposed to be the underpinning reason for having a democratic governance, is not happening. So we want restructuring, we want a return, for instance. You know, we support return to the 6 geopolitical zones, because when you talk of states, even if you increase the number of states, for instance, from 36 to 46 or 56, there will still be states, some portions of states that may not be represented. They may not produce a governor. For instance, I'll give you an example. Where I come from, Borno State. Southern Borno, they are a minority, so to speak. They call them minority. They have never produced a governor. Now, if you create a northeast region, out of the 27 local governments we have in Borno, create 7, 8 provinces, have their own administrative structure, and let everybody report to the regional structure where we have our premier and so on. That's why to some extent I support what Adebanjo has said, which is return to the 1963, but with some amendments. Secondly, the issue of security. We need to restructure this country because of security concerns. Now, I'm from Borno again. I was never a supporter of decentralization of the police. I started supporting that when I saw what was happening in Borno with the Boko Haram insurgency. What I saw the civilian JTF doing, the sacrifice they're making, they're laying their lives to protect what the police should have done, but they cannot do. One, they do not know the terrain. And secondly, you know, there isn't that motivation. And thirdly, the size of the police as it is, a centralized police, is not enough to be able to, you know, counter the local unrest that is happening within communities. Therefore, we need a regional police. We need provincial police, if it is provinces or counties or whatever, you know. Look, create these geopolitical zones. Let every zone go. If Southeast, you want to have 100 provinces, go and create it for yourselves. If the Northwest, you want to have 200. Let the sharing formula, the revenue sharing formula, be between the federal government and the regions.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
I've got so many people who want to speak. While we're taking the mic around, let me quickly read a few comments from the people online. Chris Unwani says, why is it that our leaders have not found it necessary to accept their mistakes and ask for forgiveness? At least this will mean that the younger generation can have the courage to accept their own mistakes or not to make such mistakes. Sincere apologies go a long way. There's a consensus that across all geopolitical representatives that restructuring is now required. Can we not get our legislative arm to at least enact this and then decide later how this will be implemented via a referendum? And this is from a guy called Preston Togangharu. Finally, Amaru Ismail, please, why are you inviting most of the men here? They are 50 years and above. to discuss issues that, when implemented, will affect mostly young people in this country for many years to come. Yeah, no, we shouldn't be doing that. Okay, a few comments from there. Okay, we'll take maybe, I don't know. Yes, I can't find the girls. Where are they? Yeah, so up front here, and then we go all the way to the back, because I don't want to ignore the people right at the back. Where is the mic? Sir, have my mic. Let's see. Oh, okay.
This is Architect Gabriel Yakubu, representing the North Central People's Forum. In the making. We are still consolidating. Our chairman is unfortunately not available, and therefore to come with 3 others. First, we want to appreciate what this Daily Trust has brought out at this time. Everybody knows that the country is at crossroads and there must be rescue. So a lot has been said, and we cannot continue dialoguing. There is enough in the cabinets of government. There is enough materials, even from what has been discussed today, to begin to create a situation where we as Nigerians, whether we are 100 years old or 30 years old, we are still alive, and we need to keep this country together. What is pleasing now is that 85% of Nigerians, made up of all, women, young, and all the rest, believe that we must keep Nigeria. They love Nigeria, wherever they are. Be any tribe, anywhere. They love the country Nigeria. And now we have to fix it. But we cannot go on. If this, I'll just leave it at these 3 words. Indiscipline. Let us take on the word discipline, which begins from homes. Our homes are still there. All right? So going to grassroots is extremely important. And therefore, discipline is one. Secondly, sincerity of purpose. Everywhere, sincerity of purpose is important. And of course, security for whatever we do. We ourselves must be secure in our country. If the country is not secure, we won't get investors coming to join us. We have too much for the world at large, that we shouldn't be playing around with it. Therefore, let us discipline ourselves from the word go and know that we want to preserve this country. If I recall, the president today got his popularity from the indiscipline that he was used. So now, I'll leave this just word that indiscipline, insincerity is leading to where we are of insecurity.
Okay.
We have to rescue our country. Develop on what you have done. A lot of positive contributions have been made. And we can go on and on.
Thank you, sir. Time is an issue for us.
Yes,
and unfortunately for us, our distinguished chairman.
So, thank you very much.
Good luck.
This country must be preserved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, Mr. President has to leave us, and I'd actually hoped that he will have the final words on this debate. So, sir, if you don't mind, before you depart, can I ask you to give us a few concluding thoughts based on what you've heard here, please? Can somebody... Yeah, here's my mic.
Thank you. I'm really sorry to have to leave now because I'm traveling, but because of the significance of this, I agreed to participate, thinking that it was going to end by 1, but it's going beyond that. There's nothing much to say, but all the issues being canvassed could be done. The National Assembly can still go on, and a new constitution can be developed based on what Nigerians want. I just came back from the Gambia. They have their National Assembly now, but they are working on a new constitution. And it will pass through referendum. And when that new constitution is adopted, the next structure of government will be based on that. So Nigeria should not shy away. If our leaders, our religious leaders, our ethnic leaders, our political leaders agree on what to do, we should be able to do it. Yes, the present National Assembly cannot write a constitution for Nigeria, but Nigerians can write a constitution for Nigeria, and that could be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I think we'll just wait for him to first take his leave before we carry on. I might as well go to the moderator. I know that a lot of people have gone out to escort His Excellency, but we can quickly spend the next sort of 10-15 minutes that we have taking a few more comments, starting with Tonye Cole, who joins us online. And he says, why must we wait for the government and not constitute the roundtable for restructuring? What stops all our passionate elites gathered here from coming together and developing an alternative structure and model that they can now propose to the government? And this has kind of also been implied here. Yes, exactly. So could you talk to us about that, the two of you?
I'd like to hear Professor.
Well, to be honest, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Leon Trotsky and the Red Army started like 3 people, and it metamorphosed into the Bolshevik Revolution. A nation does not have to bring all its citizens before ideas are generated that will catalyze into a change. Daily trust is unfortunate your MD is not here, but I do hope somebody will tell him. Daily trust has started a thought process which is profound. I have learned a lot from this discussion by listening to others and improving on my own views. What is clear to me is that Nigerians are not happy with the state of affairs in their country. They think that 2 things are responsible. One is the structure of governance, and therefore its recruitment process, and the fidelity of functionaries in government about a life more abundant, creating a better idea, leaving the country better than you found it. And I hope that Daily Trust does not become an armchair critic. They have catalyzed a discussion which must go one step higher. We don't necessarily need to have a government institution bring to bear on the whole nation the necessity for a change. Our children tried it, it has failed because of those that infiltrated them. But a newspaper like Daily Trust could expand this beyond this into what Honorable Kumalia suggested. Let us expand a group of consultation of purely intellectuals and people with political opinion and expand the labyrinths of our suggestions. Everybody agrees that we need to change the structure. Professor Jega thinks we have to do it incrementally in order not to provoke sentiments that will turn a cog in the wheel of the progress. Fine. But inside a discussion, it is possible to have an acceptable framework by which we liberate our political structures to be the people's structure, to reflect the will of the people. So that before you go into government or go into an election, you look around and say, look, I can't win this thing. The way people are thinking now, they'll never support me. Vox populi, vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. And if we transform Nigerian discourse into where the opinion of majority of Nigerians matter more than the opinion of a few people who aggrandize power for the purposes of power, if we sanitize the process of screening people in public office and making them more accountable, not only to the Constitution, but to the will of the people, we will have a country we will love.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to take the last set of comments because we have to wrap up. The gentleman behind here. Yes, sir. Yes. Unfortunately, yes. That's it. It's better than. Yeah, please always introduce yourself, not for me, but for others who don't know who.
I'm Mr. Sito Okechukwu.
Yes, sir.
Let me start by thanking the organizers, and I start with Professor Ochega. You made an elaborate and succinct presentation, but I did not hear you, like most others, mention about the amendment of Section 121, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, done under President Muhammad Buhari's regime, upon which he signed an executive order 10 to give life to that section. Is it not part of restructuring, though it might be incremental? And secondly, I support your view that if we rely on the old state structures and devolve powers from the exclusive legislative list, that would be a major step. But you did not add that a geopolitical zone where I come from, the southeast, needs an additional state so that you can treat the baby as the other babies were treated. So please, I would like you to elucidate on that. And I go to my elder brother, Chifu Nyawodo. If in the Abacha conference of 1995-96, the issue of region was voted, and it was voted down. And in the Obasanjo conference of 2005, it was also voted down. In the 2014 Constitutional Conference, the region also lost. Is it not more pragmatic as a leader of my people that you should see that it's more pragmatic to support what Professor Jega is saying, that all that we needed on our own side is let's have additional 5 states like other regions and increase number of our representation and local councils. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So the gentleman right in front of you, perhaps? You could have just passed it to him. And then we'll go that way. We literally have like 10 minutes. So can I ask people to please...
All protocols observed. My name is Bonaventure Phillips Mela. I'm a journalist and author. I want to just draw an analogy. I'm from Imo State. And my son or my daughter is writing exam for Federal Unity School with children from other states. And then my son or my daughter is expected to score 350 over 400 to get admission. Somebody or some other children will score 80, 100, and then they get admission. And this is a federal policy. What do you want me to tell my child? If she scores 300, she didn't get admission. Somebody that scored 100 from another state got admission. And this is a federal policy. Because why I'm saying this is this. No nation can be great when the citizens don't believe in it. No nation can develop or be great if the citizens are not patriotic. And if children growing up have this experience that I'm in the same class, somebody scored 80, got admission, I scored 300, I didn't get admission. How do I inspire patriotism in that child?
Thank you,
what
sir.
will I tell the child?
I think you've made the point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Where is Malam Sani Zoro? Okay, he's in that corner. We'll go from him and then we'll come back here. Okay, we literally got like now 7 minutes, and I would like the panel to actually be the people to conclude, because I want us to leave here if possible, with suggestions on the way forward.
Yes, thank you very much, Kadria. I'm a journalist, and on account of Section 22 of the Nigerian Constitution, I'm obligated to monitor the utterances of public officers. And let me say, I regret very much that President Goodluck Jonathan, our boss, had left. Otherwise, one of the comments or one of the observations I would have made arises from his opening remarks.
I don't think you can say anything about a man who's not here to defend himself. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not going to accuse him of anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Observation, that's what I said.
Okay.
That it has surprised me that in the remarks he made, he did not mention the implication of Decree 34 under the Ironsi regime, which actually imposed the unitary system of government on Nigeria. And I thought the implication of Decree 34, apart from the coup of 1966, was what actually truncated the evolution of Nigeria as a true federation, as well as its evolution as a parliamentary system of government. Secondly, the paper by Chief Nwodo did not bother to reflect on that. But I want to say that from my 40 years experience as a monitor of governance as a reporter, it appears to me that the issue of 1966 coup, whereby some people came to murder the Prime Minister, wiped off the entire political and military elite of a section of the country, and the 20 or so literature that emanated out of the coup legitimized what those murderers did. I think that issue has not been settled.
Okay, thank
Secondly,
you. No, sir,
this is just an observation.
Please.
I was told that we are going to be giving a minimum of 3 minutes.
We've run out of time.
But let me say that I support the issue of restructuring. And in northern Nigeria, I'm not aware of any group that is against restructuring. But the restructuring I support is in line with the position of the Northern Reawakening Forum for devolution of power horizontally from its vertical position.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me quickly read a message
thank you very much for abridging me.
Nuru Yakubu, who this was addressed actually to Chief Nwodo, but actually also addresses some of the historical issues that are said here. He said Professor Atayu Jega's proposals are more realistic. Change, peaceful change, can only be gradual. References to things that used to happen, historical things, are okay, but it must be realized that times and thoughts have changed. The quicksand analogy by Chief Nwodo is neither here nor there. Other people will say even the times he keeps referencing was built on quicksand. So could we combine this comment with what...
it's very easy.
When we talk historically, what is the place
I heard you very
of
well,
history
don't,
in the conversation?
Don't edit my response. First of all, it's very easy to make a selective analysis of the issues that appeal to you and gloss over the general issues that arise for point of historical correction. I do not agree with my brother who made reference to some selective constitutional amendments. Secondly, there are several incidents that have happened in this country that are regrettable. Each of the coups in this country, the way they were executed, the way they have been misrepresented, they are things we are not proud of, and they are not things we should regurgitate. We've moved far away from there. I have told you my personal experiences of how I went to school in Ibadan. I have friends who went to school in Ahmadu and in Ife who have different experiences showing that we're people who love ourselves. And I've told you my personal relationship with the former president of this country, who treated me like a child, irrespective of where I come from. General Boubacar still refers to me as his brother today, just as because I served him in government. These are not things that should come to the forefront. What I think is important for us is that this discussion today should not just end in semantics. So many people here have made very fundamental contributions. To continue to relish in the past and the differences we had in the past, when the future of our children is in total jeopardy, is not patriotic. What we must do now is to look at the salient points that have been raised here and form a small think tank and make a basic resolution signed by people from various parts of the country saying, we agree on this. We think we should restructure. These are the low-hanging fruits about restructuring. Some of the things we must address presently in order to sanitize our political structure and build more confidence of Nigerians in the project.
So you've come round to Mr. Jega's bite size.
What I'm saying is what Kumaria suggested,
yes,
which is to say we need to come together to agree on some basic ingredients of restructuring. What should it be? What can we deal with right now? And how can we engender national confidence in it? To come to a conference like this and continue to go back to a time when people here, some of the people here were not born, and they were not part of the conspiracies of how governments were changed in Nigeria. To go into that is to further divide ourselves unnecessarily. We've passed many years beyond that. To look back there is to say we shouldn't restructure.
Okay. So this is going to be like your final remark. Do you have a few more things to say before I hand to Professor Jega, because I'm rounding up?
No, all I have to say is that the journey of 2,000 miles begins with one step. Continuous, endless intellectual analysis can never lead to change. The resolve for a change is discernible from the contributions we've had here. The mechanics and the extent of change can only be evolved in a smaller group. And in that small group, if there is clear representation of all shades of opinion and of all areas of Nigeria, I believe a compromise is possible. Thank you for your kind
Thank
attention.
you very much, sir. Sir, Professor Jega, and then I'll go back to Chief Adebayo before we round up. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First, I want to join in commending Daily Trust for organizing this dialogue. I think all of us who have participated are the richer for it in terms of learning from it, and also on the need to move forward. I hope that Daily Trust has a good team of rapporteurs who have followed the discussion, and I hope a report can be produced and circulated, perhaps together with, if there are written presentations in that. I think further circulating that can help enhance the dialogue and the possibilities of moving in the good direction of...
And in terms of the practical steps to make sure that we're not back here again like he said, next year, he suggested like a smaller group. Do you have other ideas, or does that sound like the way to go?
No, I think this is designed as a public dialogue where ideas are expressed. I think Daily Trust will be assuming a responsibility that is perhaps too big for it if it has to start constituting a small group for follow-ups and things like that. I think they have done their duty. As I think the challenge...
I'm not talking about Daily Trust.
Yes,
I'm talking
the challenge,
about people like you and Chief.
To be honest, for me, what is important is that people should relate closer in fora, maybe smaller groups, in committees and so on, and to discuss these issues dispassionately. I think the biggest challenge of this kind of public discussion is that there are sometimes people get away and speak politics more or less rather than dispassionately addressing issues. The major problem I have, which I will go away from this conference pondering over, is whether if you believe in one Nigeria and you believe things need to improve, whether it is possible at all, practical or realistic, to think that you can bring that desirable change outside of the existing constitutional framework, even if it is very, very imperfect. So for me, it's a fundamental problem arising from some of the points that have been made. We already have a country running on the basis of a constitution that is truly imperfect. And we want to improve upon that constitutional framework to make our union, even more perfect, because that's what all federal systems talk about. And obviously, a more perfect union could be better built on a constitution produced by the people.
It's a valid point to ponder. And before I invite Chief Adebanjo, I also wonder whether I can throw out a question to ponder, which people talk about, and which is, if you don't restructure, what actually happens to that unified Nigeria, and whether you can afford not to go at this urgently. I'm just throwing that out there as part of my little...
Yeah, if I can give a very brief answer.
Yes.
We have to restructure, and we have to begin to do something about restructuring before 2023. It's absolutely necessary. As I said, we are sliding back. We have been modeling things over and over and over again, and we are running out of opportunities for modeling through our problems. So the more we discuss, the more we find more practical ways to address these issues, the better for the country. Otherwise, increasingly, the more irredentist people, and they are all over. Some are more expressive. For others, it's more internalized. So the threat to this country for not beginning to restructure this country, at least by 2023, I shudder to think of what will happen.
Okay, and Chief Ayo Adebanjo, your final thoughts as we wrap up. It's not working. Hello, thank you very much. I'd now like to call Malam Munir Dan Ali, Director, Media Trust Limited, to give a vote of thanks and bring this event to a close. What happened to him? Okay. You can use my mic. It's easier. I couldn't recognize everybody, so I don't know if you want to do it.
Okay. I think the day is fairly well spent. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My task is simply to thank each and everybody that has participated in this event. And I think I will start from the audience, both the physical and the virtual audience, because without you, this would have been meaningless. We truly appreciate the fact that you stood through even the slight technical glitches, especially the virtual participants. I've seen up to the end, even the Embassy of Angola was still there. And I saw the comment from Tonye Cole, I believe is the Sahara Energy guy, who is keen to participate in the politics of River State. And a number of other comments that came virtually. So that suggests that people were quite cottoned on to the proceedings here, and we do appreciate their time. That's the decision they made to spend so much time with this, because it's also a very topical issue that is very dear to our country, and I do hope that at the end of the day, something positive will come out of this. Of course, all this wouldn't have been possible without the key people who, for example, chaired the event, our President, Goodluck Jonathan, who increasingly is becoming more quoted and counted as well, and who incidentally, especially with what has happened in the USA, we still value what he did when he lost his own election. And that has made him to join the Committee of Statesmen. And that is why he's still been sought after all over the continent and beyond. May God continue to guide him to do even greater things for the country, for the continent, and for the world. Of course, all this wouldn't have been possible without the participation of the key speakers, starting from the oldest, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, who still has so much fire in him that you just pray that you wish you could reach his age with that fire. The only other person I could imagine is Alaji Tanko Yakasai, who is 94 or 5 and who is still also very strong. May God continue to give you more years of good health and public advocacy that you've always been known for. My landlord, Chief Ngodo, incidentally, when I first came to Abuja, I was his tenant, setting up the then BBC office. Thank you very much, sir. And congratulations on ending your tenure as the head of Ohanese Ndibo in a very graceful way and finishing the transition and passing on the baton. We appreciate what you have done, and you still remind me of when we were seeing you as that young guy around President Shagari, and still the energy. I saw you how you climbed up the stairs, and I said, wow, I wish I would reach 70 with that kind of agility. My teacher, our teacher, Professor Atahiru Jiga, very compelling and analytical, and we do appreciate the position and then the additional elucidation that you have made. Of course, the moderator, Kadria, my sister from our other mother, as we used to say. She's compelling and she's very good for this kind of thing. For those people who may have followed the Daily Trust Dialogue, you will have realized that this year it's been different, and largely also thanks to her interventions, thanks to her moderation, and thanks to the way she has helped to steer the event. Thank you very much. Of course, behind the scene, there have been the organizing committee that usually starts meeting as soon as this current edition ends. The next one starts. The 19th, the planning for the 19th one will start maybe a month from now, and then we'll keep doing the meetings and changing, having different suggestions and what have you. Because incidentally, it was around the COVID issue that we wanted to do this dialogue, but we said, look, there's even fatigue about COVID, and because it's not the sexiest of topics, that is, it's not the most interesting, and it's depressing, why don't we go for the one that is almost existential as far as Nigeria is concerned? So, and it appears that it has worked quite well. So thanks to the members of the organizing committee, keep up the good work. And then I would like to especially thank our colleagues, the journalists who have been here all through, the different stations from African Independent Television, and also to Arise that have been beaming this to the larger Nigerian public. We thank you for the cooperation and the understanding, and I think it suggests that that is the way to go for the media to even have greater impact, instead of just doing your little thing in your little corner. It is when we pool resources that we can make the media better, just as when we pull together from our different positions of north, south, and what have you, that Nigeria becomes better. Of course, not because Chief Audu Ogbe objected, but because he deserves much more than that. So I must recognize his continued presence all through this. Barrister Kumalia, Architect Aduku, and so many others that I may not have to mention by name, who have come here and have sat through and listened patiently and contributed where possible. I think that is the spirit to go. Together, we can go much further. Just like that African adage that if you want to go fast, they say go alone. But if you want to go further, go with others. Daily Trust always chooses to go with others, just as we hope that the Nigerian story also will be better when we all understand that it is when we are together that we can achieve all that we wish for ourselves, instead of being in our little corners and stocking up things and maybe just playing to the small gallery. I think it is always better to play to the bigger one that you could get better results out of. So finally, I would like to thank each and everyone once again. The ones who are here physically, at a time I counted around 180 people. And of course, I can't be able to count the number of people who have joined us virtually, or those who have been glued to their TV sets and other media following this. Rest assured that we wouldn't rest on our own oars. We'll continue to do whatever is necessary in order to take our country further than where it is. Thank you very much, and God bless.
And if I could quickly call the DG of Voice of Nigeria, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, for the closing prayer, and then the national anthem, and then we can all head out. You want to come up here? Okay.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. O Lord of infinite goodness, our strength in adversity, our help in darkness, our comfort in sorrow. Nigeria is in sorrow. We need your comfort. Nigeria is in adversity. We need your strength. Guide us, protect us, comfort us, and lead us to talk as one family. Today, the Daily Trust has labored to get us together. And we are told, without your strength, our labor will be in vain. Let the labor of the Daily Trust Group for today's event not to be in vain. O Lord, guide our president, protect him for more dedication to unite the country so that we can talk as one family. Not to talk as Igbo, not to talk as Hausa, not to talk as Yoruba. You created us here with abundant human and material resources. In this vein, O Lord, we pray that you unite us better. All this we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, sir. And there we have it. That brings to an end the 18th Daily Trust dialogue. The theme has been restructuring why, when, and how. Thank you for watching on our website, dailytrust.com, and thank you for being a part of it on all our social media platforms of your choice. The conversation doesn't end here. The 19th edition, planning for the 19th edition begins almost immediately. Do join us and continue the conversation, carry the conversation forward on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are at daily_trust on Twitter, facebook.com/dailytrust, instagram.com/dailytrust, and of course on dailytrust.com. My name has been Jodlin Adukafor. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. Do have a wonderful day, and of course you can keep in the comment section right there, keep the conversation going on, express your thoughts, share your opinions with us at any time, any day. Thank you very much, and have a great day.